Welcome to another episode of Questions from the Truck. I'm in the shop right now, just because, but I'm going to go do a little rail fanning right now. Thanks for your questions. My first question is from IsThisSteph. What's up, brother? Hope you're doing well. His question to me was, what do I rail fan with? I'm guessing you mean like camera and equipment and things like that. One thing I rail fan with is, hold on, my tripod, right? This is a heavy duty tripod. It's for my camera too. So this is what I put my phone in. My phone just fits in here like this. This clamps down. And actually I could take this off and walk around with it. It's a nice way to hold the phone. So yeah, tripod, make sure it's got a level. Sometimes I bring this little tripod, and sometimes I bring my gimbal and put that on my phone. Not too much. I usually would take that if I was going to ride the train or something. The gimbal is cool. I've taken it to train shows. I don't use it that much, but it has a place because it helps with shakiness. It's not cheap. It was like 124 bucks, but it does a really good job. I can tell you that much for shakiness, and it does zooming and panning, and you can make it track you. It has a little tripod too. So like, you know, if the camera's sitting still and I'm walking around, it'll move with me, which is pretty cool. My DSLR camera, if I'm going somewhere special, I bring that rail fan in. My phone, of course, is what I shoot with. I have a little Canon Vixia too that I shoot with sometimes, not so much, because I gotta take that and load it into my computer. I like using the phone because I can just edit it if I want to on the phone, put a bunch of them together, and go right to YouTube. I have a mic that I plug into my phone if it's too windy. My scanner, which is my phone scanner app. See, like I'm shaking a lot. So with the gimbal, it would be nice, but that's what I take rail fanning. What do you take rail fanning? Going to answer Drew Steele's question. Drew's question, and thank you for your question, Drew. It's a good question. He wants to know how to accurately measure and cut your pieces of wood. How to accurately cut them and how to accurately measure them. Listen, you know, tape measure, it's a great thing, you know, but I'm going to show you something here. It's hard sometimes. So Drew, sometimes I like to take, if I'm going to measure, say, needs the measurement of this opening, right? That's pretty easy to measure with a tape measure. It's when you start doing this stuff, when you're starting to go like this into the corner with your tape, that it's hard to see your measurement or take an accurate measurement. You really can't take an accurate measurement like that, okay? It's guessing. So what I like to do is take two pieces of scrap, okay? They could be scrap, they could be rulers. Both pieces need to equal the distance that you're measuring, okay? But not one piece. You understand me? So what we're going to do is put them together like that, and we're going to slide them, okay? And we're going to slide them in this opening like this. Right? Make sure you touch both sides. Make sure make sure you're touching the sides. And blah blah blah. Hold it. Right? You got it pinched together. You can take some little spring clamps. You could take some painter's tape, tape them up, and this is your measurement from point to point. Okay? Now you could take this right to your piece directly. You take this right directly to your piece, Right? Let's go over here. Get it close to the edge. You probably can't see this now. You see that? Yeah. Make a little tick mark where you're at, so you're cutting. So this is your waist side, okay? And this is your keep side. So remember, your piece is coming to this side of the line. So one of the most important things about marking your wood, marking anything, is pencil point. Okay, mechanical pencils are the best. If you're using wood pencils, make sure it's sharp. This is not sharp, okay? It's pretty wide, so I'm going to show you the difference. And depending how important this cut is, it can be the difference of a lot. You know, so that pencil's not too bad. You can see they're totally different marks, right? See there? Totally different thicknesses because of the pencil lead. So, you know, and if you were marking the other way with the pencil, it would be even heavier. So where are you cutting to? You know, you could wind up being too long in most cases with a big point. So pencil sharpness is important, right? So you got your mark, all right? Here's our mark. We're going to take our square, make a mark. This is our waist side, and this is our keep side. So what I like to do is err on the waist side. Cut it long, so I'll keep the line, cut to the waist side, and then I can come back later and sneak up on it if I need to. And if you're cutting a big thick line like this, you could say, well, let me split the line. So I want to see some line when I cut this, and not all of it, but I want to see some of it. Split the line, I mean, you know, you can't split that with a saw, but a handsaw you could, right? But you're not doing it with a power tool. So there's a lot of things, and what you want to do is, you know, this is our line, right? And you want to be aware of where your waist is. So I always put an X on my waist side, and I'll put a crow's foot, little tick on my keep side. So that I know that that's my point right there that I need to cut to, all right? And, you know, depending on what machine you're cutting with, that really depends too. You have to be used to your machine, whether it's a circular saw, table saw, miter saw. This is going to be a miter box hand tool, hand saw. It's probably going to be the most easiest and accurate cutting device because your kerf is thin, okay? Your saw kerf. This is the saw kerf is the thickness of the blade. It's thin, so you could split those little lines. And like I said, creep up on it. I always creep up on it. It depends what the project is. If, you know, a 1/16 of an inch doesn't matter, then don't worry about it. But if it matters, then go about your measurements that way. Whether you're using these pinch sticks, pinch rods, story sticks, pinch rods, it's nice to have some type of a square, right? Because that's going to give you a reference. Or you're using a tape measure and you're pulling your tape, right? So, you know, you're here and you want to measure, pull your tape. Can you see? Yeah. And say we want to be 17, right? You mark your 17. So 17 is really on this side of your mark, depending on where you mark it, okay? And that has a lot to do with it. Pencil sharpness. Keep sharpening your pencil. I hope that helps. I cut this down a little bit because the other one was too long. Be well. Next question. back from the truck. So my next question is from the Railroad Crossing channel. He wants to know, what factors do I think make good train watching spots? Well, if you're just watching trains, obviously you need to see trains, right? So you want to be in a spot that has a lot of train traffic, right? So, yeah, that's what I would look for. And if you're just watching, yeah, I just want traffic, right? But if I'm rail fanning, and making some videos and photographs and things like that, I talked about this before. I look for identifying markers. Hold on. Yeah, identifying markers like stations, old stations, factories, something cool that makes for a cool background. I know people rail fan in the woods, and that's all they can do. And if that's all they can do, that's all they can do. But I always look, so when I do videos and things and photographs, I'm like thinking about documenting, not just for my pleasure now, but for years to come, So I'm always thinking about documenting the scene that I'm photographing or videoing. Not all the time, because obviously there's places you go that you can't. But that's what I have in mind when I go rail fanning. I'm looking for cool places, identifying places, old stations, factories, just anything, bridges, something other than green grass and trees and nothing else. It could be anywhere. It could be a train anywhere. At least if you see a building that's an identifier, oh yeah, you know where that building is, or you can look it up, one or the other. So there are the factors that I take into consideration when I rail fan. And when I'm just train watching, I don't care. I just want to see trains, right? Doesn't matter. Just as long as there's trains. I want to be where there's trains. Don't sit on a line that there's no trains on, right? Thanks for your question, man. Be well. Safe rail fanning to you. My next question, Indian Head Valley Railroad. Wilmers, he's got a lot of them here. The favorite error for trains. I think the diesel steam transition right there. Because you still had steam and you're getting some diesel. Back then, you had so many railroads. Do I hear a train? I might have to pause. So you had so many railroads back then, right? Man, back in the 50s, right? Geez, there were like a zillion railroads. Now there's like 3, 4, 5, right? That's what I liked. So that was my favorite trains. What and why? That was my what and why. And am I modeling it? No. And why not? Because I'm not going to run no steam on my layout. I'll probably, run those old diesels, along with new stuff. And that's pretty much it. Because, there's things that I want. I want center beams on my layout. And they didn't have center beams in the 50s. So, and I'm going to have modern buildings, as opposed to older buildings on this layout. Who knows, maybe later. Maybe my dream layout will be something else. Like Dale, Highball and Hoggers. Thanks for your question, Wilmer. I appreciate it. Now, I'm going to ask you guys and girls to answer this question. You're more than welcome to answer all the questions, but really, I really would like you to answer these two questions, because this is my friend Matt Nawn. He asked us questions, and I kind of got an idea of why. Matt is part of FPT. He's very active in all the trolley museums all around this area and the country. And he's a great guy. And he's probably wanting to know from the questions how to get more people to the museum. So his first question are, what are the things that would encourage you to visit a trolley or train museum more than once? Okay, you've been there once, would you go back? What are they? If not, why? And what would you look for to make you go back? Okay? So, as always, I'm going to put the questions in the descriptions with links to these channels. Go check out these channels if you did not or have not, and subscribe to them if you like them. And his second question is, what things could a museum offer that would make it more interesting to a non-railfan friend or family member that you bring along with you? Or, you know what I'm saying? So he wants to know, what would make it more interesting? So I think for me, the first question, what are the things that encourage you to visit a trolley or a train museum? Just nice stuff. I mean, a nice collection, nice people that volunteer there. And if it's a ride, a nice ride. That's what encourages me to visit the same place more than once. And my friend Bill. And his other question, what could a museum do to make it more interesting for non-rail fans? Man. I think if you can get them involved some way, somehow, kind of like what we do with $25 a day at the trolley museums. You come out for $25, you can operate a trolley. That gets somebody involved, and that gets somebody involved that would just go for a ride. And now that person is operating a trolley. And, man, that's pretty cool. I mean, I know guys that have went to past ones, and they're always asking me, when's the next one? When's the next one? Because they want to come back, because for $25, you get to drive a trolley. And that's a pretty cool thing. You don't get to do that anywhere unless you're working for a transit place or you're a volunteer at one of these places. If you're a volunteer, then you can do this all the time. So, hey, like I said, please answer those two questions. Take the time and answer them, because, like I said, it's going to reflect what the museums do, because he's going to pass this on to museums, and hopefully they'll get more of you non-fans and get you to come back to the museum more than once. Let's see if we get some more questions. See ya sometime soon. Well, that's about it, folks. Thank you for answering these questions. Be well, be blessed. Until the next time. What do I always say? Say it!